Alright guys, welcome back to Culture Shock with Charles, and this is part 2 of the effects of slavery and colonialism today. I couldn't believe the time was just flying by me, and before I know it was 15 minutes and I have not even got into the main meat of the discourse. So today I'm just going straight into it. Join our Facebook group, like I said the other time. It's called Africa Changes Forum, and we want to go straight into it today. Just this is a continuation, so if you're watching this video now, for you to understand what I'm talking about, please watch the part 1 that was released earlier. You will see it on this channel. So right now we're going to the effects of slavery. What are the effects of slavery today? All right, when I started last time, I said the effects of slavery and colonialism is passed from generation to generation through the cultural practices and folklore. Cultural practices are things that, I'll talk more about it. There are things that people do that is passed down to their generation, it passed down to their sons and daughters. For example, the Jewish people. Man, the Jewish people, that nation of Israelites existed for over 2,000 years. So how are they able to continue their cultural practices up till today? It's because they pass it from one generation to the next. They teach their children, this is how we do, this is what we do. Different kind of practices they have. So that's what's happening to us, to black people. Those of us, our brothers and sisters that are in America here, the cultural practices is being passed from generation to the next. So the first effect of slavery today that I see, I've been in America for over 10 years now, and understanding slavery and seeing our people here, especially our African American people, this is the first thing I see: identity. The first effect of slavery on our people here is identity. Because our people were taken from Africa, the first thing they lost is their name. Their name, then their identity. Once you lose your name, you lose your identity. So their identity was stolen, and what did they do? They had to pick up the identity of their masters. So up till today, I believe our people here, for the most part, not everybody, but for the most part, a lot of our African American brothers and sisters have not been able to get their identity back. When you talk about identity, you talk about mentality, the way you reason, the way you do things. Okay, there's a story I'm going to share with us. There's a story, or it's like a proverb. We have African proverbs, but this one is like a proverb about an elephant that was small. This elephant was just a baby elephant. When it was small, it was tied to a small wooden bench or wooden stool. It was tied to a small wooden stool, and all its life it was tied to that wooden stool. This elephant now grew to an adult elephant, and as an adult, this elephant was still tied to that stool. He never understood that he's now weighing about 2 tons, that this stool is just a tiny thing that he could just kick away. But because it's in his mentality that it's tied to that stool, even though it's big, almost 2 tons, maybe 2,000 pounds or something like that, he couldn't leave. So I believe the effect of slavery on our people is the loss of identity. So what do I mean by identity? When you don't have an identity, you want to identify with so many things. One of the things that happens to our people here is that they find their identity in the land here. That's why when you ask someone, where are you from? You say, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Where are you from? I'm from Houston, Texas. Yeah, you're from Houston, Texas, but can you go deeper? Do you know where you're really from? Can you trace your roots? Maybe like 50 years or 100 or 200 years back. So because the identity has been lost, you have to now pick up identity from somewhere else or from someone else. People here have names, English names. I'm going to tell you a little bit about names. When I was growing up, I asked my dad. My dad gave me a Yoruba name. My name is Shola, Yoruba name. All my siblings have Yoruba names. My first name, last name is Yoruba name. So I was asking my dad, I'm like, hey Dad, why don't I have English name or European name? You know what my dad told me? My dad said, did the white man give his children African names? End of discussion. That was the end of discussion. So one of the effects, I believe, I can go deeper than this, but because of time, because of time, I'm gonna just, expect you to, make your comments, and we can go deeper in other videos I'm going to share. All right, I'm going to take one from colonialism, the effect of colonialism. So I'm going to do it, side by side, so I don't go to just focusing on one aspect. So one of the effects of colonialism today is this. It's called nepotism. Nepotism. I checked the meaning of nepotism, and I'm going to check it again now. Let me check the meaning of nepotism. Nepotism is a practice. Is a practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives or friends, especially giving them jobs. Nepotism. We call it tribalism back home too, but I think nepotism really does judgment to the meaning. So nepotism is when you view just yourself, your family, or your tribe as being better, or you give them benefits, not by merit, just because by tribe you give them benefits, or you connect with them, or you have that you prejudge other people from other tribes. In America we have English as a common language. If you go from Atlanta to Alaska to New York to California, all black people here speak English. But I tell you, man, in Africa we have over 1,000 languages. Over 1,000 languages. So in Africa, one of the effects of colonialism is, for example, in my country, when the European came from Britain, what they did, they put a practice in place that is called indirect rule. In my country back home, we have three major tribes. When these people came, these Europeans, when they came, they wanted to exploit the land economically. They wanted to, colonize the land. So there are people on the land already, and you want to colonize them. What do you do? So they found out that there are three major tribes in the land, and they found out that there is one of the tribes have, kind of like a single ruler over them. So what did they do? They were able to penetrate that tribe, and they're able to capture the ruler of that tribe and give him gifts, give him all kind of things, and they will tell the ruler, oh, we want this, we want that. Once they tell the ruler, then the ruler will tell the other people, oh, this is what they want, and before you know it, they start exploiting our people. But the indirect rule now, what the cost, the downside, the bad part of it is that you have three tribes. Now you use one to rule the others. What now happens in that case is, the negative part of that is that the other tribes that are being ruled by one tribe, they now get enlightened it got to a point they got enlightened, and they started hating on one another. They started hating on these other tribes. Why must you be the one in charge of our economic survival? So before you know it, tribalism was born. I believe when we were back in Africa, back in the days, hundreds of years ago, people have no time for other tribes, especially tribes that are very far from where you are. You're just concerned about people around you. But because these people came, the thing they enshrined, that was ingrained inside of us is tribalism and nepotism. So even when we now come abroad, when we come to America here, amongst of Africans, most of you, my African brothers and sisters, you just see all of us as black, as Africans. But listen, when we talk, when Africans talk, they know who is who. Where are you from? Where's this one from? Where's that one from? So I need you, especially our African brothers and sisters, to know that, listen, these are the effects of colonialism. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a quick example. The people in, I believe it's in Rwanda, when the Belgians came to Rwanda to kind of like want to rule these people, you know what they were doing? I heard this story. You know what they were doing? They were separating people based on the structure of their nose. Y'all can give me links or whatever story you have to confirm this, but I heard this is a real thing. They were separating people based on the structure of their nose. Those that had pointed nose like Europeans, they put them to one side. Then those that nose are not structured, are not pointed, maybe flat or something like my own, they put them to another side. So the ones with the pointed nose, there are few of them. I think they said they were the Tutsis. Then the Hutus, most of them they don't have strong pointed nose. They have nose like myself. They put them to the side. What did they do? They used these few ones to now start to rule over these other ones. Even these few, the fact that these people are in the minority, they use the minority to oppress and rule over the majority. So before you know it, these people that are being ruled over by these other people, they start having problems. And before you know it, that went on for decades, year after year, decade after decade, which resulted in the problem we had in the genocide of Rwanda some years back. So these are the effects of colonialism. But we still come to the Western world, or even people back home, you still display these things. You kind of like, some people say, oh, this guy is from Tanzania, this one is from Cameroon. Oh, I don't trust them. So people have things that have been taught them from their fathers. See, the older people are not always right. There are a lot of things that have been disproved now that were kind of like, what they believe. There are a lot of beliefs in the past right now that has been disproved. It's no longer, is no longer true. It's no longer real. So these are one of the things. The next thing is timidity and lack of exposure. This is an effect of slavery. A lot of our people here, I have a friend that never left her city since she was born. I had a friend here that have never left her city since she was born. So a lot of black people were subjugated and kept. They're like the elephant example I shared. You live in your county or your city. You've never gone out of your city or your county. Some people have never even gone on an airplane. Some people will not even travel across state lines. Why? Because these are the effects. We may take it as, oh no, I can go wherever I want to. But have you gone? Have you really traveled? Then most of our black people don't even have a passport. They don't even have a passport. They've never been out of the United States. Look at the white people. Check the white people, the Jewish people, Italians. These people travel every time outside of the United States. Go to Africa, you see these people, they are exploiting us till today. So as an effect of slavery, lack of exposure, and that being timid, not having that courage, having that fear of the unknown, having the fear that, oh, if I go outside of US, this and this is going to happen to me. The news media is not helping. The news media paint pictures. For example, painting crazy pictures about Africa. Listen, you go to Africa, there's some of the most beautiful places in Africa. There's some of the most developed places in Africa. We'll be talking about different countries in Africa in series of videos that I'll be releasing. So being timid and also that lack of exposure, you have a closed mindset. This is what I'm telling you, what is happening to our people here, African Americans. You're having a closed mindset. You only know what is shown to you on TV. You don't go to experience. That is why I love our African brothers and sisters that they take cruises. They go to Jamaica. They go to places in South America. They're able to understand. And you will see the level of understanding and exposure between our people here that have traveled out of the United States and those that have never traveled. You see it, because traveling itself is education. You won't believe how much I know from my experiences of traveling. I grew up in one part of my country back home. Then I moved to another part of the country where I stayed with people that spoke. Let me tell you something funny. Okay, I'm from Nigeria, right? I lived in Lagos. I grew up in Lagos. At the age of 22, 23, I moved to the southern part of the country. We speak one language in Lagos, Yoruba language. We speak one language. Then I went to the southern part of the country. So I stayed in sport facility, something like that. I was staying with a coach. So, you know, back home, you know, people crammed, about 2-3 people crammed in one room, 4 people. So I think there were about 4 of us guys sleeping in that room, about 5 of us guys sleeping in that room. When I got to that place, I realized that those 4 guys that I met there, they all have different languages. They all speak different languages. You won't believe, you can't believe it. They all have different languages. If I never traveled, I wouldn't know, because I didn't even know those tribes existed. I thought it was just the 3 major tribes we have in my country, but I come to find out that we have other minor tribes, little tribes. So these are some of the effects of slavery on our people here. The third one I want to talk about, but there's no time, is going to be materialism. Materialism, because our people here, they were owned. Once you're owned as a human being, once you're owned for a long time, maybe half of your entire life, then you got free. In your subconsciousness, in your subconscious, you want to be like your master. You want to be like people, because these people own stuff. So before you know it, you have a disrupted or a tainted understanding of what stuff really means. You know, why do we get stuff? So before you know it, materialism is born in our people here. So I'm going to talk more about that in my next video. But I think I've done enough on that item. Then when it comes to our African brothers and sisters, which we have the effects of colonialism today, one of the effects of colonialism today, I'll round up with this, is the survival mentality. Survival mentality. That is that mentality that it's like an instinct. You know, back in the day when we are hunter-gatherers, you have to get up to survive. You have to kill to eat. There's this African proverb that says, for a lion to survive, he has to run faster than the fastest gazelle. And for the gazelle to survive, he has to run faster than the slowest lion, or something like that, you know. So a lot of Africans come to the Western world with a survival mentality. Survival mentality is what makes you to struggle, to sweat, as if you're still in Africa. You see our people working 2 jobs. Oh, well, 2 jobs, yeah, people are working 2 jobs in America. But Africans, a lot of Africans come here with survival mentality. They work those 2 jobs. There's no break. There's no vacation. There's no time of R&R. I'm going to talk more about that in the next video. Thank you for watching. This is Culture Shock with your boy Shaws. And please share, comment. I love to, you know, get your comments. And if you're an expert, share me some links. Let's talk. And if you know more about this, if you want to share, please show me some links. Let me know. Let's talk. Reach out to me at cultureshockwithshaws@gmail.com. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.